Welcome back, everyone. Take three now with Tom Troy from the Toledo Blade. And Tom, let's get right to it. Allegations of broken promises, cronyism in the race for mayor. Well, I guess that in and of itself is not a shock. I mean, it's an election. But in this case, you did a story, came out on Sunday, about Anita Lopez giving raises, hiring within the auditor's office. Our Bill Horman does a story as well. We hear from Joe McNamara, and I think the line from Bill was, "To the winner goes the spoils," right? And we see this in every election where the person who's elected takes care of the people who help them get there.
Right.
Doesn't necessarily make it right.
Right. No, it doesn't make it right, and it is the practice in all the county row offices. There's 11 of them, you know, commissioners, sheriff, auditor, treasurer, and so on, to typically have some what they call executive exempt appointees, who are really our political appointees, who tend to be people who serve the office holder from a political point of view as well as an administrative point of view. And there's some perception that maybe Anita Lopez took this to a greater length than some other county office holders. And so we looked at the raises that were given to people in her office, exempt people in her office, who had worked on her 2010 campaign, and there was a pretty close correlation.
And but your paper and some of the comments, if you read them, you take a hit for being, why are you picking on Anita Lopez here?
Right.
The mayor's done the same thing,
Right.
or at least in some regard.
Right.
And what's your response to that?
Well, it is true that the mayor's top people in office tend to be some of his top people on his campaign, and they also contribute a lot of money to him. I think that's been more public. You remember he tried to give raises to his top people back in October, and council blocked those raises. Some of them came out and said, "Oh, these raises are going to come back to you as campaign contributions." You know, his argument was the exempt people hadn't been given raises for a long time. But we don't want to debate the raises at this point. But the point is that Joe McNamara came out swinging really hard. I would say it's fair to say the underdog compared to Lopez in this race, and McNamara is trying to take her down a few pegs. Yeah. He's trying to undermine
has to swing, doesn't he?
Yes,
he has to come out swinging.
And he's taking some chances and some risks. He's burning bridges with the labor community.
Well, Joe McNamara is not running for re-election on city council, no matter what happens in this mayor's race, or he can't.
Right.
And then we have other instances where there are going to be vacancies, or there are vacancies.
Right.
So let's talk about city council as it relates to the mayor's race and even the Toledo School Board.
Okay. Well, we have there are 6 seats on city council, the at-large seats that are up for election this year, and 2 of those seats are going to be vacant. One is Joe McNamara's seat. He's running for mayor. He can't also run for council. And then the other one is George Taranto, who is a Republican who is term limited. So there are 2 vacancies right there. So that right there guarantees you a hot race to fill those 2 seats. And then there's a 3rd seat, which is Sean Enright. He was appointed to that seat. He's not been elected to it. And
running for re-election.
Sometimes these appointees win their election. Sometimes they don't win their election. So he's not a shoe-in. There are some that you might call a shoe-in. You know, Ludeman running for re-election, Steve Steele, Jack Ford, some would think would be a shoe-in. Then
Has
we
the
have
backing of the former mayor, right? Another former mayor.
Right.
Party,
now we have Larry Sykes running, who's a Democrat. He's on the school board now. He's leaving school board, which is creating a vacancy there.
And when we talk about that, Larry Sykes running for Toledo City Council. I mean, there is name recognition. Over the years, we've talked about the power of the name.
Right.
In this case, City Council. He's a step ahead of everybody else.
I would have to give him an edge in this race because of the fact that he has been elected and he's so well known. Now,
where are the Republicans here? Let's talk about what John Stainbrook has been able to do.
Well, John Stainbrook is the Republican county chairman, and he is trying to build a farm team, okay? And he's got 6 people. Probably the most interesting of them would be a guy named Joe Salusta, former businessman, lost his job when his company moved out of town. He's the grandson of a former mayor, Ali Salusta, from the 1950s. And then we've got a couple of independents running, Teresa Gabriel and Sandy Spang, that are getting a pretty good push.
All right, it'll be fun going forward as we work our way toward September and then November. Tom Troy, thanks very much.
Good to be here.
Have a good Sunday, everybody. We'll see you next week on Conklin & Company.